erase it. Okay, so we are picking up this, like what I call this evening. We're picking up Dalet Sif Beis, and we're going to begin today. Really, one of the big issues in terms of the practical applications of the concept of a vest. And let's read inside the wording of the Shulchan Aruch first, and then we're going to go through the halachas. There's a lot of different inyanim over here that we're going to start with, and we'll see as far as we can get Be'ezer Hashem. So the Mechaber brings as follows: B'shas Vesta, on whatever the time of the vest is, and that's a very broad and ambiguous phrase because it hasn't yet been defined what exactly that means. But B'shas Vesta, at the time of the vest, Tzarich Lifrosh Mimena Ona Achas. The husband and wife have to be porish for one ona, for one time period. Below Mishar Krevos, El Mitash Mishamita Bilvat. The Mechaber says that idea of Prisha does not mean that they have to refrain from what are called Shar Krevos, from all other kinds of quote unquote coming close kind of contact, physical contact, etc. The only thing they're mechuyev to porish from is the actual Tashmish Amita. The Mechaber now goes and elaborates a little bit more. All these dinim are based on various gemaras in Masechta Nidda. Imu bayom, if the shas vest is during the day, so porish memeno osa hayom kulo afilo meves besofo. So if the actual time that she normally would see is during the day, so you have to be porish during the daytime, even if the actual shas vest is only at the end of the day. But she's going to be muteris immediately on the night following. So you might have I'm just making up a number, 5 minute, time span between when the actual period normally comes till the end of the day. That's okay. The onas havest that they have to purge that entire day from the morning until the nighttime, irregardless of the fact that she's only seen again in the past couple of times 5 minutes before the end of the day. The entire day is called the onas havest, and they have a חיוב פרישה, but as the Mechaber points out, she's muteris immediately afterwards. And soon we're going to see machlokas and rishonim about that point. V'chein im hu b'tchilaso. And the same thing is true if the regular shas havest, the regular scheduled, seen and demonstrated, tried and proven period comes about at the beginning of the day. Porish kol hayom. They're still chayiv to be porish all day long. Mutter kol halayla shilafanav, but they're mutter the entire night beforehand. So 1 minute in theory before the actual beginning of the onas havest, they're mutter. Then the onas havest starts, they're aser. And even though for the past, again making up a number, 11 hours and 11 and a half hours are already not the time that she normally sees, it doesn't matter. That entire day is aser. B'chein adinim hu balayla, porish kol halayla, mutter b'yom shilafanav, ula acharav. Bein shekava veses begimel pama over pam achas, and then the Mechaber points out that these halachas are true for what we call either a ves kavua or a ves she'ena kavua, even if she only has seen that she sees on that day or demonstrated that she sees on that day only once. The next month she still has a חיוב of prisha during that ones havest. Now the Rama adds something very quickly. We're not gonna get near this tonight, but just point out the beginning part of the Rama. V'chol ze lo mayri ela bevest atali biyamim. All these halachas are based on the assumption that the onas vest that we're referring to is a vest that's based on days on the calendar. But there's a whole other area, something that's called a vest haguf, where she might have certain physical simanim. She coughs a lot, she sneezes a lot, she shivers and that's been proven that at the time that she gets her period, she always has one of those physical simanim. So there's also a concept of there's a חיוב פרישה during those times. With this idea of an onas havest, that the entire day or night of that vest, that's only true by vest that talui in days. Either it's a vest chodesh or a vest flaga. Many of the common things that you are familiar with from your basics in Hilchos Nidda. Now that is the Mechaber over here, and there's a lot of things that we're going to speak about now. That come up about this about this Mechaber. Now we're going to start with a Gemara Masechta Shavuos, where the Gemara points out in Masechta Shavuos and Daf Yud Ches the following thing. And there's a couple of different Gemaras that we're going to be referring to. So to read over some of the Maimari Chazal. Amr Rabbi Yochanan Shor Shem Bar Yochai, Kol she'eino porish me'ishto samach levesta. If a person is not careful to be porish from his wife on the day of the vest, even if they have children, big tzaddikim like the children of Aaron HaKohen, Rachmana litzlan mesim, they can die for a lack of care in this halacha of Prisha samach levest. Dechsiv hizartem as bnei Yisrael mitumasam. We have to warn and tell the Jews to be careful about the Tumas Nidda Hadava Benidasa, and then Samach, and after that it says the parish of Acharei Mos. So the smichas, the juxtaposition, is marames that Acharei Mos can take place if you're not careful about that earlier din of Prisha Samach Levest. There's a schar though also. If a person's careful about Prisha Samach Levest, so that's in one of these schuyos that allows a person to have boys. Shulchan Levi says, that they'll have children that are rawi lahora, that are able to be morei hora in Klal Yisrael. The Gemara gives a number of beautiful like zechuyos and schar of a person who's careful about this din. The Gemara tells us some heavyweight things in terms that of what we want to avoid as a punishment, Rachmana litzlan, for being over on those particular dinim. But the Gemara there in Shavuos though also points out that aside from the schar and the onish, that's there. But the Gemara says on that sugya, the Gemara points out on that sugya that mikan, from here we learn that there's a chiv to be poresh samach levesta. V'hizartem es b'nei Yisrael mitumasam. You have to warn, be mazhir, Klal Yisrael, to be careful about the tumah of a nida. And the Chazal understood that the warning that we have to be careful about is lest Rachmana litzlan, a person inadvertently be over on bias nida. And the Gemara there, if you look at Masechta Shavuos, the Gemara has a diyun, a discussion. That's where the sugya comes up there about the type of korban that a person would be chayiv if they were a bal ishta b'shas vesta. You can't really consider that an ones rather, if she ended up becoming a nida and there was bias nida, because it's samach levesta that's supposed to happen. So is that called? But is that called a mezid, etc.? So the Gemara has different diyunim. Again, that's the sugyas and karbanos we're not going to get into right now. But the Gemara is very, very clear that there is this din of being poresh b'shas vesta. The same Gemara also appears in Masechta Nidda, Masechta Yevamos, a poresh b'yom havest. And the Rishonim have a debate about a couple of different things that we're gonna just sort of like lump together right now at the beginning of our discussion. The concept of a Yom HaVest appears in different contexts in the Gemaras. Okay, one place is this discussion we just pointed out in Shavuos Naviches, Nafsamer Gimel, and Nidda, the idea of Prisha b'Yom HaVest. There's also a sugya in the second parak of Masechta Nidda, towards the beginning of the second parak of Nidda, where the Gemara has a machlokes that sounds like it's a very, very important machlokes. The Gemara's machlokes are vestos deoraisa or vestos derabana. I think very, very basic and sounds like a very, very fundamental machlokes, or vestos deoraisa or vestos derabana. Now, if you look there in the Gemara points out, the Gemara is in the second parak in Nidda. The Gemara's note that with that particular discussion, or vestos deoraisa or vestos derabanan, is not explicitly talking about the din of the conduct between the husband and wife, the Prisha on the Yom HaVest, but rather that Gemara is speaking about the status bidi eved if a person neglected to do a bedika on the Yom HaVest. She knows that she has a vest to see. We're just going to, again, making up a number on the 15th of the month or every 20 days. It doesn't matter, Vesta Chodesh, Vesta Flaga, whatever that's going to be. But she knows that she has that kfiyos. Again, we're starting off with the Vest Kavua just to make life easy. She has a Vest Kavua 3 times she always sees at the same exact time. And the Gemara has an expression that says that there's a chazaka, that orach bizmano ba, the orach kanashim, the period comes bizmano, You've already established that three times. Great. Now, because of that, okay, both benogeya to tumah v'tara issues and nogeya to the isser of a nida l'bayla, the Gemara points out that the person is required to do a bedika on the day of the vest. Again, later on, we're going to get into the discussion of when exactly that or those bedikas have to be done. Also, not for now. Right now, we're just talking theory. You have to check. She has to check inside. Since there's a chazaka of orach bismano ba, we have to assume that the period is going to take place today or now, or whatever that time exactly, the time frame exactly is. So she has to do a bedika. If obviously she started bleeding and it's coming out, like the fire hose, a fire engine. So then, so then we know obviously the orach, yes, was very much bismano ba, and there's no, the bedika is irrelevant because you see the gushing of the dam. On the other hand, if she doesn't see anything, well, but there's a chazaka, right? The chazaka orach bismano ba, she has to do a bedika. Fine. She checks and she sees, so that's another confirmation of the chazak of orach bismano. So then already we have a question about that vest, and we're going to see if she can be oker that chazaka. Again, a discussion for later on. The Gemara though has a discussion. What happens if she neglected, she forgot to do that bedika on purpose, by accident? It doesn't matter for right now. What happens between the husband and the wife? Let's focus on that issue. Do we assume that, hey, there's a chazaka of orach bisman haba, it's established 3 times, and we didn't check and prove to me otherwise? There was no bedika to show me that she didn't see today. Hey, so the chazaka tells me she did. She's a surah to her husband, as if she actually had a riyaz dam. Or do we say, no, like we know it's supposed to happen, but she didn't notice. Perhaps as some of the Rishonim point out, the expression midalo argasha, she didn't have any clear hargasha that the dam was coming out. So midalo argasha, that alone is enough to cause a question about the chazak of orach bismanaba. So maybe they're mutter each other. What's the discussion? So what's the story? So the Gemara paints that machlok is in the following brush, with the following strokes and the following term. If you say that vestos are de'oraisa, what that means is that the husband and wife are usher to each other if she neglected to do the bedika. Well, we assume that she's temeya. If you assume that vestos derabbanan, what that means is lechatchila, yeah, she has to do that bedika. B'di'evid, if she didn't, the chazaka of the vestos is not strong enough to make her usher. Again, we brought one of the esbeirim in the Rishonim why that chazaka is different than other chazakos, because there's a reyasa in that chazaka of midalo argisha. There definitely is this reason to think that the chazaka of orach bismanaba didn't come to fruition this time. So vestos derabbanan, the chiyav, the isser that would be there on b'di'evid, that's there's no real isser. And again, just to point that madam vestos b'dera means that she's actually mutter now. Because that whole chashash or the chazaka, we don't look at it as a real strong Torah chazaka, like we said, because of at least according to one of the pshatim, because of the idea of midalo argish. Now, as we just pointed out, the Gemara's machlokes about vestos de'oraisa or vestos derabbanan is focused on a question of what happens when we know that she had the vest, we know she forgot to do the bedika, and we were discussing her status b'di'evet. Okay, versus Daraisa says she's aser. Versus Rabbanan says mutter. Right, that chazak is not so meaningful. The Rishonim now of machlokes about comparing the 2 Gemaras that we just mentioned. On the one hand, the Gemara discusses there's a thing called, and the Gemara quotes a pasuk, v'hizartem es b'nei Yisrael mitumasam, a pasuk end of a parshas Mitzvot. You have to warn the Jews to be careful about the inyanim of tumah v'tara. V'hizartem es b'nei Yisrael mitumasam. The Gemara learns mikan that there's a chiv of prisha samach levest. Would we assume that since the Gemara is quoting a pasuk on v'hizartem es b'nei Yisrael mitumasam, does that mean that the chiyuv of Prisha on the Yom Vest is a chiyuv d'oraisa, learned that from a pasuk? Does that automatically mean that we would assume, like the man d'amar, that vestos are d'oraisa? Because if we're learning from a pasuk that you have a chiyuv to be poresh, if that's a chiyuv d'oraisa, hey, that sounds like the Torah itself actually recognizes the phenomena of a vest kavua, right? And is that true? Is that chiyuv of Prisha only predicated on the assumption that vestos deoraisa. But if we were to hold that vestos are derabana, which in fact we're going to see later on we actually do hold like, right? So does that mean that the חיוב of פרישה is only midrabanan or not? So that already now becomes, excuse me, a basic machlokes amongst the Rishonim. We're going to just list quickly what the various deos in the Rishonim are, and then we can we're going to start to go back and apply ourselves to the halachos over here. So like we mentioned before, first off you have, just to get the setup, you have the Gemaras and Nidda beginning of the second parak, Daf Tezayin, right? The חיוב of the bedika, and do we say vestos d'oraisa or vestos d'rabbanan, right? But what about the חיוב פרישה v'hizartem es b'nei Yisrael made two Muslims? So how do we compare the two? So here we have a machlokas. There's a Rashba in the Torah Sabayis, and the sheet of the Ravid is like this as well, that the חיוב Prisha samach levesta is in fact only dirabanan, and the fact that the Gemara quotes a pasuk v'hizartem es b'nei zomi tumasam, that's an asmachta ba'alma. How do I know that? So the Rashba explains, because we hold that vestos dirabanan. She's muteres if she forgot to do the bedika. So vestos dirabanan, the entire content of a vest is only dirabanan, and the חיוב Prisha is dirabanan only as well. The sheet of the Ravid in the Bedek Habayis is that no, that's actually not true, and you can't link those two Gemaras as simply as the Rashba implies. The Ra'ah in the Bedek Habayis tells us that v'hizartem is in fact a real drasha on a Doraisa level. The question is though as follows: when exactly is the חיוב Doraisa to do the Prisha? The Man Da'amar that says vestos Doraisa says that the entire onas of vest. Right now, like we're going to use the Mechaber's example, the entire day that she regularly sees on, she sees for 5 minutes during the day, but that whole day, the Man Da'amar that vestos Doraisa says that חיוב Prisha all day long is a חיוב Doraisa. The entire, we'll call 12-hour period. That's where you have the concern of the chazak of orach bezman haba. You have to porridge any moment during that onas havest. You have to assume that the Doraisa she might see. The Man Da'amar that says vestos d'Rabbanan disagrees. The Man Da'amar that says vestos d'Rabbanan says, we say as follows. This is the chiddush of the Ra'ah. From the moment in the day that she traditionally sees her period, for argument's sake, she gets the period on the 15th of the month, but it's always happened at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Consecutively, the past 3 times, the past 80 times. That's what's happened. Says the Ra'ah, from 12 noon till the end of the day, right? That's when you have to assume that you have a חיוב Prisha d'oraisa according to everybody. And the machlokas are vestos d'oraisa. The Rabban is only about the first half of the day before we actually got up to that shas havest. That's the shita of the Ra'ah in the Bedek Habayis. Now, interestingly enough, there is a diyun that there's still more shitas in Rishonim, but just to bring up the question right now, there is another Gemara in Yavamas in Daf Samach Beis where the Gemara points out that a husband has a חיוב lifkod as ishto im yotze l'derech. When the person is going on a trip, he's going to be away for quote unquote X amount of time, because the machlokes will show how long you have to be away for to have this חיוב. But he has a חיוב of ona, חיוב bia, with his wife to satisfy his wife, take care of her physically, emotionally before he goes away on a trip. And the Gemara says that חיוב is even true ba'onas vest, even true on the day of the vest. And then the Rishonim now have a discussion. This is totally, and this machlokas we're discussing is, hey, wait a second, you can't just be like over in a din da'oraisa if the חיוב Prisha is da'oraisa. So they're going to adjust when with the Chazal being makel that a person during the onas vest has a right to have bia if he's going on a trip davka during that time. So that becomes a discussion. There is a Ritva on the Sugin of Daf Yudches, where the Ritva has another sheet. He actually brings us the name of the Ramban, where we say as follows. Where the Ramban says that when the Chazal use the expression "You're chayiv tiporish samuch levesta," the Ritva and the Ramban tells that means literally at the time of the vest. The Ramban seems to indicate like a half an hour before, after. It's not exactly always, mamish like to the second. What do you call, like they have like the Netzachama digital clocks, with the seconds and milliseconds. So it's not exactly that scheduled, but right around half an hour before, half an hour after the vest, B'shas vesti of Chiv Porish Daraisa. The Ritva and the Ramban say that there's no remiz at all that any time before or after that during the Onas of vest has any significance on a Daraisa level. So they argue categorically on that Kiddush of the Ra'ah. So that's Shita number 3 in terms of how the Chiyuv of the Onas of vest is going to be. There's a 4th Shita. And this one we're going to be marach about a little bit more of the Noda Yehuda, even though he's one of the Achronim, but the Noda Yehuda, and this probably got a little bit more drive because there's a Reb Chaim that basically says the same Chiddush and just in his own terms. And in our day and in world, if once Reb Chaim had a Chiddush, as we always, those who learned in Brisk have a joke we always make that the Torah was given a higher grizim, the Briskerab. So after the Briskerab from Reb Chaim, that becomes like the Torah Misinai that we work with. But the truth is that despite the the fame of this particular Chiddush, like Lamaisa in Rishonim, most of the Rishonim don't really learn like this. It happens to Reb Chaim was basing his Chiddush on a Rambam, as he always does. So if you assume like Reb Chaim's Chiddush, this idea is going to be the Shita of the Rambam. And that tells us as follows, that we're going to be machalik, and we're going to discuss this now in a little bit more, a little more at length, because this is actually brought in the Pesach Tshuva here in the Shulchan Aruch. We're going to be machalik between 2 different concepts. It's a very, very fascinating lumdis that Reb Chaim and the Noda Yehuda discuss. We're going to be machalik between 2 different concepts. Yes, it's true. The Gemara has a discussion about vestos deoraisa, vestos derabanan. What happens if she forgot to do her bedika? Do we assume that she's temei or not? There's a chazaka orach bismano ba. And we hold like the man the Amr vestos derabanan. That's the way he's paskin. It's shonach. She black and white. She's muteris if she forgot to do her bedika, like that. Now, says the Noda Yehuda and says Reb Chaim that that's all true. But if you want to ask me, does the Torah recognize that I have a chiyuv to be poresh on the Yom HaVest, despite the fact that post facto, if she didn't do the bedika, she's muteres, I still say that midoraisa, we look at this as a day of potential that she might end up seeing. And you have a chiyuv doraisa. Again, we're going to explain some of the terminology in a second, just getting out the broad idea right now. And the chiyuv to be poresh the entire day, all day long, of that onas havest is a chiyuv doraisa, despite the fact that we hold vestos or derabana. Okay, and the 2 don't have a stira in between them at all. Now, just for the record, okay, it does seem clear from somewhere later on in this siman that the Machaber seems to hold like the shita that vestos are the rabbanon, the chiyuv prisha on a yom havest is the rabbanon across the board. That there's no part of the yom havest that's actually viewed as a chiyuv d'oraisa. That does seem to be the shita of the Machaber. But nevertheless, like we said, there's a whole discussion in the Rishonim and Achronim how to understand what this chiyuv is. Let's take a look quickly in the Pesach Tshuva and Sivkat and Gimel, where let's look at Beis actually for a second also. The Pesach Tshuva and Sivkat and Beis point out as follows: Tzarach lifrosh v'im avru v'shimshu ha'ish v'ha'isha shneim tzrichim kapara. In other words, the Shach brings down, and then he does say this over here right on the page, that we have to understand that even if, this is the point the Shach makes, even if the husband and wife are meshamesh, okay, and nothing happened, we didn't see that she was in either, there was no dam. So on the one hand, you might have said, hey, we got away with it. We played Russian roulette, right? We took a chance. We did something that was iffy, but nothing happened. So we're good to go. Again, saying this a little tongue in cheek. It's like when we all go to try to open up the bisli bags or the potato chip bags on Shabbos, assuming that we're not going to rip any of the words. So you take a chance. Okay, again, we're not going to get to the dinam of a davar she'eino miskavein. But if you get away with it, great. You didn't rip any of the words. And if not, you say, hey, davar she'eino miskavein. And not so bad. Says the Shach over here, you didn't get away with it. There actually is a din that it's usher to do what you did, okay? And if the husband and wife were in violation of that, even if she didn't end up becoming a nida, nevertheless, there's something that requires a kapara for the avera of violating the din of Prisha, Sabach Levesta. It happens to be that the Shach and Sivkat and Hay points out, like we just mentioned, that the Chivti Porish is the Rabbanan, and that's the Askamas Rova Post Novia Achronim, the Vestos the Rabbanan. But if you look in the Pislei Tshuva and Siv Gimel, Pislei Tshuva quotes as follows. Let's read inside a fascinating Pislei Tshuva. Ayin B'Tshuva is Nod B'Yehuda Chelik Yerdeya Simin Nun Hey Nun Vav Shehela, where the Nod B'Yehuda suggests the following chiddush: the Masha Amru Vestos the Rabbanan Hainu LeInyan Shelo Amrinan Shekvar Rasa B'Shas Vesta. That just means that we don't assume that, oh, she for sure is already Timeya. Mishum, as we quoted some from the Rishonim before, the Neged Chazaka of Orach Bizman Ba, Yesh Chezkas Tara. First of all, the girl herself has a Chezkas Tara, and as we mentioned, you have the Rai of Midalo Argesha. About the Inyan Lifrosh Meishto Samach Levesta, Hu Minatora, the Chayshinan Shema Tire. And says the Nod B'Yehuda, V'lo Amrinan Ala Lehaba, Nukum La B'Chezkas Taira. Says the Nod B'Yehuda, the fact that I'm willing to be Mekel and say that the girl has a Chezkas Tara, so she's not Timeya, unless I prove otherwise, right? So to speak, a Chazaka de Meikara was a Chezkas Tara. But says the Nod B'Yehuda, I can't tell that Chezkas Tara in the future. He quotes an expression that is based on a Tosis on the Vezma Beis in Gittin. What do you think? She's never going to see Dam? And we know she's going to see Dam eventually. So her Chezkas Taira always has a built-in shady, shaky point to it. It's not like an absolute concrete Chezkas Taira that she will be like that forever. So we're going to say, you know what? Maybe today's going to be the day. She's shown that she already sees on that day. And then Yehuda quotes as a rough comparison another Gemara in Masechta Gittin. Dami the Amru Shema Meis Lo Chayshinon, but Shema Yamos Chayshinon. The Gemara has a klal in Masechta Gittin that Shema Meis Lo Chayshinon. We don't have to assume that somebody died. The Gemara, this is where it comes up in Masechta Gittin. Person sends a shliach to bring a get over to his wife, and he lives in, far away, whatever it is, in modern day terms. He was trying to come to, who knows, to Eretz Yisrael to even get to his wife. He's caught somewhere in a stopover in Italy, 3 months ago, bad move, and he's stuck quarantined somewhere in Italy. And who knows, by the time he makes it to Eretz Yisrael, the world has changed. 3 months later, after he goes off on his journey, and he wants to give the get. Can he assume that the girl is a gerusha? Maybe she's an almana, maybe the guy died. How do we know? Is there yibum? What is this right now? The Gemara says, Shema Meis Lo Cheshina. You don't have to worry. There's a Chezkas Chayim. You don't have to worry that the guy died. Shema Yamos, on the other hand, the Gemara bases itself on another Mishnah, but there is always a chashash that the guy might die. Okay, and again, Ayin Sham, the Mishnah that the Gemara bases that idea. So it says, the same thing over here. Shema Meis Lo Cheshina, but Shema Yamos Cheshina. So maybe right now she's going to see. I have to assume that the חיוב פרישה is a חיוב de'oraisa. According to Pislei Tshuva, that some sofer had discussed this particular svar also, and he brings down that there's the beginnings of the svar are found in the Ra'ah, in the Bedek Habayis. Again, even though the Ra'ah happens to have a slightly different sheet, that the חיוב פרישה de'oraisa is only in the second half of the day, as we mentioned before, but the concept of the Nod B'Yehuda was rooted already in the Rishona. Now, Reb Chaim, it's a very, very well-known Reb Chaim in Perek Dalav Hilchos Nidda. Reb Chaim has another way, a little bit more of a classic, brisker way of explaining this chiddush. Very important. I think it was very important to hear because it cuts to the chase of the whole entire concept of what chazakos are all about. It says Reb Chaim, he makes this into a sweeping principle about the whole idea of using a chazaka as a raya to anything. So Chaim says as follows. We're going to start off with this example, and we'll give at least one other afterwards. Says Chaim, let's come to vestos. The rule is going to be like this. A chazaka, this is the svara first, the lumdus that he presents. A chazaka never tells me what will be in the future. No chazaka ever projects that because this is what's been, that is what's going to be. Okay? That's not the principle of a chazaka, Reb Chaim says. Despite the fact that we might have been taught that from elementary school, Reb Chaim has many rights. That's not what a chazaka is. What is a chazaka? So it says Reb Chaim, the idea is like this. When once a chazaka has been established, we say that when we see the phenomena, right, that the chazaka spoke about, we now know that that phenomena is part of a pattern. We know the context. We know why that took place. So for example, when she sees on the 15th of the month on her Veskova, we say, yeah, this is her Yom. She was supposed to see that. We never necessarily know, right, that she's for sure going to see during that time. But we know when it happens, that for sure is an example, an expression of the chazaka. So Reb Chaim says like this. Let's start with the vestos issue. When the girl is on the Yom vest, right, and she didn't do her bedika, we say, you can't tell me for sure that she saw. No chazaka ever tells me that for sure happened. We don't know that. Right? That's not what a chazaka is. So vestos derabbanan, she's going to be mutter. But on the other hand, because the Yom Vest is a day of a chazaka, okay, let's make it clear. Just because a chazaka doesn't say this for sure will happen, it also doesn't mean that it's for sure not going to happen, right? This is more of a likely day for her to see than any other day. And the geder of the chiv that the Torah has is v'hizartem as b'nei Yisrael mitumasam. Be careful. Careful, okay, so today is actually the day that it makes sense to be careful. There's much more of a reason to think that it might happen today. Again, chazaka doesn't tell me that it's gonna happen. We don't say, boom, for sure is gonna see that. No, vestos is only the Rabbana, right? But as a gather of a zihiros, v'hizartem as b'nei Yisrael mitumasam, right? This is a likely day that it might take place. And he gives an example, a very, very clear example. He points out that the Gemara in Bava Kama, this for oftentimes one of the first times that people ever learn anything about Hilchos Nidda is when we learn some of the sugis about Shora Muad, because the Gemara makes a comparison about a Vesta Seirugim and Dilugim to Muad Dilugim, Muad Seirugim, Achlogas Rav and Shmuel. And the Reb Chaim says like this: let's say you have a Shora Muad, right? Coming back to our more classic Nashim Nezikin, terminology, the good old famous Shora Muad. So you have a Shora Muad. So on the one hand, the Bailim have a chiv of shmira, right? They said in a negative, lo yishmeru ba'alav, but they have a chiv of shmira on the shore. But that doesn't mean, right, that shore gores every single thing that the shore sees, right? He doesn't walk around killing everybody left and right all around him. It means, right, the concept of the shore amud is when the shore does gore, right? We look at that negicha as being part of a known, understandable pattern. Yeah, this is a shor amud, and you're chayiv to pay nezik shalim for that, because we understand that why that took place right now. Again, doesn't mean that boom, 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 it's always doing it all. No, that's not what a shor amud is. But when the negicha takes place, we for sure know that that's part of its pattern of ha'adah, and that Reb Chaim explains the concept of our vestos as well. Vestos derabanan, because even the great mighty principle of chazaka doesn't dictate that this has to be. That's not what a chazaka is. But begeder, am I chiv to be zohir today on a yom vest? Chaim says, yep. That we're going to assume that the chiv of a prisha definitely can be a chiv d'oraisa. That's the introduction to the idea of the chiv prisha on the yom vest. Now, let's walk through some of the other inyanim that are here, as presented by the Shach, Taz, and then we'll get back. There's a lot of very, very critical and important discussion in the Pischei Tshuva as well, and other poskim that will definitely be coming up. So let's start off over here with some of the inyanim. Again, we're not going to finish everything tonight. There's a real lot over here. Let's start with the Shach. The Shach points out in Sifkat and Vav. It says the Shach, this is a basic important thing. The Mechaber is very clear that there's a chivti poresh on the time of the vest. V'lo mishar krevos ela mitashmish amita bilvad, not from shar krevos, but only from tashmish amita. Says the shach, mashma, afilu chibuk v'nishuk shari. Kamosha pasuk of Beis Yosef, b'mashmos haposkim. Says the shach, the mechaber seems to be taking a stand that the only thing, mamish, the only thing that's also on a Yom HaVest is actual tashmish amita. Any other kind of physical contact, no matter how suggestive that might be, even chibuk, v'nishuk, hugging and kissing, etc., that's all going to be mutter on the Yom HaVest. But the loka trumas adeshin, not like, I mean, Mechaber is arguing on an opinion of the trumas adeshin, who says that no, chibuk v'nishuk are in fact also to do. The harchakos that people follow, that are discussed later on in Kuf Tzadi, that you're not obligated to keep on the Yom HaVest. But says the Trumas Adeshin, chibuk v'nishuk, 100%. That you have to keep. V'chein nira das harav b'sif yud. We're going to see later on. The Ramah seems to be machmir like that. V'chein pasuk habach, ela shemesayim miyu nira da machmir be'ele tavo alav bracha. So the shach here quotes the sheet of the Bach that says, listen, Meker Adin, we're 100% true. We're good to go. The Mechaber tells us that a person has a right to be Mekel. Nevertheless, there is an inyan, Tava Lav Bracha, if a person is going to be Machmir for Chibuk V'nishuk. The interesting, the Pesach Tshuva brings down from a Tshuva Sarat Baz that says that Chibuk V'nishuk are totally mutter to do, like it says in the Shulchan Aruch, and the Rabaz writes the Kasav, the Ein L'Chadesh Chumros Al Yisrael Halavai Sheyishmeru Mashamuta Aleim Ayin Sham Heitev. The Pesach Tshuva brings down over here from the Rabaz that no, you're not really supposed to be so machmir. Again, you have to do what the halacha says you have to do, but to be machmir on extra things, that one should avoid doing. Now, Lamaisa, like we said, there is a machlokes over here, and the opinion of the shach definitely carries a lot of weight and is quoted in many different svarim, that if a person has the ability to be machmir from chibuk v'nishuk, that is something that one should try to do. Again, it's something that a person can attempt to do. If they find it a little bit too difficult or inconvenient, they can. Some poskim hold that the Rav Vashon held in the Shurish Shevet Alevi has to be matir neder even. That it's actually considered a binding thing if the couple decided they wanted to be machmir like that. But the askama of the more contemporary poskim seems to be that one should try to follow the opinion of the shach l'chatchila to be machmir in those areas, and not like what it says in that Pesach Tshuva of ein l'chadesh chumros. Many of the poskim point out, this is quoted in the Darkei Tshuva, one of the real one of the real svarim, but in the Shulchan Aruch Harav as well, that sleeping in the same bed with each other is probably under the gather of chibuk v'nishuk as well, even if they're both fully clothed. Again, they don't have to separate their beds, right? But to share a bed jointly is something that the Shulchan Aruch Harav points out. Again, this is quoted often in contemporary achronim. Is something that would probably fall into the category of being more on the suggestive side, and it should, in theory, be avoided as well. So that's issue number one that comes up there in that particular shach. Chibuk v'nishuk on the Yom HaVest. Now we're going to start off, I should say. I don't think we're going to finish this right now, but we're going to introduce a very interesting concept over here that the shach brings. There's two big whammies over here in this particular shach. And we're going to try to go through both. Let's read inside. Also just to emphasize, I'm not sure if this came out clearly before, but so I just try to make it clear. When we speak about the shach who says that Taval of bracha, if the couple is machmir on chibuk v'nishuk, okay, during the Yom HaVest, we have to emphasize that only is referring to actual chibuk and nishuk, to actual hugging and kissing, regular physical contact. They want to pass something to each other, high five, I don't know, whatever like husbands, wives usually would do with each other. in terms of like not suggestive contact, that already is going to be okay to, that already is going to be okay to to try to do. They're okay to do. The Shach points out over here in Sivka and Zayin. Let's read through, and we're, like I said, we're going to get to a certain point that we're gonna stop, just because we're going to get too involved with something now. So Oso Ayom, we say that they're obligated to be Poresh that entire day, whenever the Shas Haves was. So we gave the example earlier, right? She sees on the 15th of the month at 12 o'clock noon. So they have a חיוב to be Poresh for the entire day. So the Shach brings as follows, a very, very fascinating discussion. Kasov Hagos Maimonios B'Shem Aviasaf. Aviasaf says as follows. Kama Ona, we're going to now read the words that the Hagos Maimonios brings. The Aviasaf was one of the Rishonim. Kama Ona, Yom Olayla B'Mei Nisan V'Tishrei. An Ona is the amount of time of day or night on what we call equinox or even days. In other words, you may Nisan v'Mei Tishrei, when you have on the average of 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime, that's the Ona that you're obligated to be Polish. V'chetzi yom, v'chetzi layla, b'mei Tammuz v'tevis. Ad kan l'shono. And the Vyasaf says, but that equals, though, when you have days that are not even in terms of the split between daytime and nighttime. So the examples are, one of them is our month right now. Tammuz and Tevis is the opposite extreme in the other direction. So during Tammuz, you might notice that it gets dark very, very late. Light early in the morning. Here in Nates is right before 6 o'clock. It doesn't get dark until what do you call it? Until Shki is just about at 8 o'clock again, about 10 minutes earlier, roughly 7 minutes earlier. But you have a lot of daylight. That's your not an even 12-hour day. So says the Vyasaf. Okay, and again, the opposite is true in Tevis. Thinking back to Hanukkah time, it's light for a very short period of time, and it's a night dark for a very long period of time. So says the Vyasaf, the חיוב of Prisha is a 12-hour חיוב. Okay, which might mean at certain points during the year, okay, that those 12 hours are not necessarily the entire what we call today the Onas Haves. They might extend into the nighttime, it might extend into the daytime, etc. The Shach continues, the Beis Yosef Dacha Devaro. The Beis Yosef rejects that of Yosef. Me'achash HaPoskim lo yizkiru. The Poskim don't bring that lahalacha. V'gam lishna the Shas mashma de lo kapet ela al hayom o al halayla v'lo al hashos. The Pashut reading of the Gemaras, this is definitely true, imply that we speak about an Ona in terms of day or night, and not looking at the amount of time that the Onas Haves is. Hamadani Melech, Perakama Denida, V'habach, Hisigo Alav. But others, though, the Madani Melech and the Bach, are masig, they argue, they take issue with that Beis Yosef. Again, we're going to go through the opinions right now. We're going to explain everything more, Mirz Hashem, next time. They say the Divrei Ha'aviyasov Nechonim, but Muva'arim B'shas, Perakatinokas, Ad Kan Divrei. They say, the Bach and the Madani Melech, no, Adarab, a more careful reading of the Gemaras there are going to imply, okay, that the Aviyasov is for sure right. Time, the hours, how long is what's important, not that it's daytime or nighttime. The Ravan writes the same exact thing. Don't be bothered by the fact that this is not mentioned by the poskim. Because when the poskim speak about the yom or the layla, they mean your average day. Day is like Yemei Nisan, Yemei Tishrei, 12 hours. During the times of Tevis, the time as you go through shows as manios. That's a discussion. If you look in the Master Shek on the back of the Shulchan Aruch in your day, why it shows manios as opposed to just like actual 60-minute hours. And says the Shach, okay, that we find many examples where the Zemanim are all, listen carefully, I'm not going to go into the detail, but are all relative. that are all not fixed things, but all relative to the time period that you're up to. It could be a little longer, it could be a little later, etc. Okay. Now, interesting. If you look at Rabbi Akiva Eiger here, Rabbi Akiva Eiger on this shach, Kigonin and Kriya Shema, Akiva Eiger points out the very sharp, to the point, boom, pull the trigger. Zeu tamua ha'adarab shamas lin and basar hayom. The Talmud is man ad revia ben bekayis ben bechoref. The Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, whoa. It might be true, right, that we all like when Zman Kriya Shema is 10 o'clock in the morning, but that's not because the Zman changed. The Zman is always a fixed thing. A revia, it's a quarter of the day, whether or not the day is long, the day is short, but the Zman is actually always the same. It doesn't get longer and it doesn't get shorter in terms of the actual calculation of the Zman. So Rabbi Akiva Eiger takes issue with what the Shach says. And again, if we were learning the sugyas of Zmanim and Kriya Shema, this Shach is a very pivotal thing to try to calculate how the Shach understands what exactly or how exactly the Zman for Kriya Shema is going to be calculated. But that's for sure not our discussion. Just pointing out a very important little tidbit that you might want to remember when you get up to your Zman Kriya Shema sugyos in Mishnah Berurah, wherever else you're going to learn. Be that as it may, right? We just introduced now a machlokes in the poskim, whether or not the concept of an onas havest is based on daytime, nighttime, regardless of how long the day is, regardless of how short the day or the night is going to be, or is the concept of the Prisha b'yom havest going to be something kavua of 12 hours, no matter where, no matter when. So if it's okay with the Olam, I think we're going to pick up from here a little bit more of a discussion about the Aviyasaf next week. We're going to also get into the famous discussion of the Or Zeruah's vest, which also appears in the second part of this shach, which is also a long discussion. But even the Aviyasaf that we're in the middle of right now has a lot to talk about. So before we get totally overtime, we're going to call it for right now, if that's okay with everybody. Any questions about what we had done today? Questions or comments, I guess.
I want to ask about the Aviyasa.